Okay, hello again. Yes, I cut my own hair. Yes, it looks weird. Yes, I've been growing a beard. I don't know why I'm going slightly crazy being indoors all the time. Uh, Back at you though. Disgusting. Sorry, I got the date wrong. Where's that? Wait. No, it is. I was right. The book is wrong. Sonia Sanchez. Sonia Sanchez, born down south in Birmingham, Alabama, but moved to New York City when she was 9. She went on to attend CUNY. That's right. Hunter College, BA, great school, best English department of the CUNY schools probably. If you're interested in literature and going on from for your BA. Um, uh, Sanchez was closely associated with the Black Arts Movement, like Amir Baraka, in the middle of the 1960s, and she really remains associated with it. She's alive still. This is the first living writer we've discussed in this class. Better late than never. I tend to be more eh, wanting to introduce you to the history of literature prior to the period in which we're alive so that you know about it, besides names like Shakespeare and stuff. So, but she's alive still. There's a nice movie about her, shows her very unique performance style when reading her poetry. She's kind of almost in that spoken word world a little more, the New Yorican poetry cafe and that sort of thing. If you've never heard of that place, look it up on the Lower East Side. It's quite a venue for poetry in the city. She was a poet, political activist, scholar. She taught at BMCC at CUNY, and she went on to teach at Temple University later in her career. And she's of course retired now, but I'm pretty sure she still lives down in Philly. And again, she was a figure in the Black Arts Movement. Her poetry is uh, of all the poets we're looking at, probably the most influenced by another poet we looked at, Langston Hughes, especially the way she wants to use um, black black English, black American English, black dialect, slang, alternate spellings. She makes really interesting, ambiguous, but meaning unclear, but in a way that's enriching use of backslashes in her punctuation repertoire. Uh, and she was married, I should say, to another poet we'll look at next time, Etheridge Knight, who's a couple years younger than her and died almost 2 decades ago now. What am I saying? 2 decades, 3 decades ago. Jesus, time is flying. I'm getting old. So let's just look at some of her poems because they're really fun. Abbreviations. There's a kind of informality to the verse that should strike you as really, uh, you know, it's experimental at the time, but now it's so normal the way we all constantly communicate by text and post on social media without real regard for the formal rules of standard written English. That at the time was liberating. Okay, it was very liberating for her to do these things, including you see often her lack of capitalization. Her lack of capitalization is very cool, very hip. Um, let's read poem at 30, page two, uh, page 231. Poem at 30. So this would have been 1964. Quite a year. It is midnight, no magical, bewitching hour for me. I know only that I am here waiting, remembering that once as a child I walked 2 miles in my sleep. Did I know where I was going? Did I know where I was going? Traveling. I'm always traveling. I want to tell you about me, about nights on a brown couch when I wrapped my bones in lint and refused to move. No one touches me anymore. Father, do not send me out among strangers. You black man, stretching, scraping the mold from your body. Here is my hand. I am not afraid of the night. And you see the beautiful equation there of it's night, but she's not afraid of the dark because whose skin tone resembles the night? Black people's. And you see this throughout all these poems. If you're reading her poem, you see this constantly. She returns to this theme of her love for, her regard for black men, and her want to like both be a wife and a lover to them, but also like a mother, a kind of a goddess figure, a caretaker of them as well, including especially her ex-husband, but husband at the time, Etheridge Knight, who struggled with drug addiction. Okay, so beautiful poem. I love this idea. Once as a child, I walked 2 miles in my sleep. Did I know where I was going? No, but you see the point of that image of a kid getting out of bed and walking 2 miles. Just the magnitude, the quality of the dreams, the power of the dreams that a child like that must have, that they'll get out of bed and walk for 2 miles, like just wanting to get away and explore this crazy, beautiful world that we all inhabit, okay? But that so few of us are fully as curious about it as we should be after our early days as children and the incredible curiosity children have. Let's read this one for her. One for the poem for Etheridge, and then we'll read a chant for young brothers and sisters. I'm really not doing her justice. You gotta look her up. I'll link to some videos. You gotta look up her reciting her poetry. It's really singular. She's often accompanied by musicians. Baraka too. Baraka would often be accompanied by a band and would recite the poetry, almost like sing it to some extent, but more, that spoken word style, like somewhere. And this is prior to hip hop, but you see rap music sort of emerging in this time period, or close enough. The last poets come from the 60s. Gil Scott-Heron is writing poetry at this time, and we'll listen to some Gil Scott-Heron in a second. Poem for Etheridge. Stone Cold Daylight. I'm on page 239. And again, you see the use of the backslashes here. What are they? Pauses? Are they slashes? Like you could mean any of those words. Stone Cold Daylight. Moving, stretching, turning together. Changing positions. Man. This is for real. I am swinging, man. Running, man. Hanging upside down, man. She's in love. It is you, it is you, it is you, it is you, my man. Wow. Oh wah hey, oh wah hey, oh wah wah hey hey, oh wah wah hey hey. What are those syllables supposed to signify? Love, but maybe even in the carnal sense, like ecstasy of sexual union. Music in my legs, stomach, traveling to meet you, man. Feel my African pulse right now. It is dark and beautifully wet, pushing us toward past beginnings, centuries passing as we dance our together songs. Beautiful music covering our blue indigo bodies. Wonderful poem. I love her spelling of beautifully. It's very playful, very loving, very exuberant. The enthusiasm, you can tell, that sense of if you've ever had the problem of being in love, the disease of it, you do feel that way sometimes. I think when when I've been really in the throes of love, you do feel as though the person, the connection between the person predates when you met them, predates when you know it goes further back, that it's sort of this ancient connection that you're participating in, that's like sacred and holy. I mean, it sounds stupid and foolish, but I honestly have felt that way about someone before. It's as strange as it sounds. Let's look at the last poem now, and this you see in her. So you see her there as like this. You saw the theme of love and the passionate love for one man, but for black men in general. And then you see here this sort of more motherly tone to her poem here, and a real warning about drug abuse and drug addiction that has proved so unfortunately prescient after the way the government imposed criminal penalties on drug use in the black community. And then if you believe you know, writers like Gary Webb also helped funnel and began the crack epidemic in Los Angeles and throughout the country in the 1980s and 90s. Okay, so a chant for young brothers and sisters. Y'all out there looking so cool in your highs, like stoned, but not just from weed. You know, think heroin, think morphine. Her husband, who they eventually separated after his night, he struggled with morphine addiction his whole life. Yeah, y'all, right there. Listen to me, screaming this song. Did you know I've seen your high on every block? Sit in white America, I've seen yourself impose quarantine hipness on every slum, bar, revolutionary street, and there y'all sitting, you brother, you sister. Listen to this drumming, this chant, this sad chant. Listen to the tears. Beautiful line. How do you listen to tears? But man, it's quiet when someone's crying in front of you. Flowing down my black face. Listen to the death song being sung on thick lips by a black woman. And then she describes being with Etheridge, I would assume. Once I had a man who loved me, so he said. We lived together, loved together, and I followed wherever he led. Now this man of mine got tired of this slow pace, started getting high a lot to stay on top of the race. Saw him begin to die, screamed, held him so tight, but he got so thin, so very thin, slipped through these fingers of might. Last time I heard from him, he was banging on a woman's door, calling for his daily high, didn't even care about the score. Once I loved a man, still do love that man, want to love that man again, wished he'd come home again, need to love that man, need to be with that man, need to love that man, who went out one day and died, who went out one day and died. Y'all out there, and then she recapitulates at the beginning. Y'all out there looking so cool in your highs, yeah, y'all, right there. Come down from your white highs and live. Wonderful poem. And let's go out, we'll go out with a song. By a musical artist you should all know. Also a musician, poet, novelist, sort of forefather of rap music, often sampled. Kanye samples him. And really part of this tradition that we're describing, the Black Arts Movement. But he reached, because of his music and his popularity, he reached a level of recognition in the culture that poets tend not to. You know, poetry is always been and will remain sort of an educated elite sort of thing. Not that that makes it bad or inferior, it just makes it so fewer people know about it, given how hard it is to become educated in a world where you're constantly worrying about where your next paycheck and meal and rent and all that sort of stuff is coming from. Let's listen to Gil Scott-Heron's most famous song. This song's called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." Beautiful song. You'll recognize the beat maybe, and the first line, but the humor and the defiance of the song is wonderful. Incredible song. You see how he's essentially rapping. He's not singing. It doesn't rhyme, it doesn't flow, but it...
You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by the Schaefer Award Theater and will not star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen or Bullwinkle and Julia. The revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nubs. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs.
I'm adding this stuff to the playlist.
There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still lights of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion.
Like Baraka, he's criticizing the black leadership class.
The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news and no pictures of Harry armed women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Keys, nor the song by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with Coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
And again, he sums up there in that one phrase: "The revolution won't be televised, will not be televised." A feeling that courses through all these writers we're discussing, and you're reading towards the end of the book now. This distrust of the mainstream American culture, that it's there to, as Gil Scott-Heron says elsewhere, the TV's there not for us to watch it, but it watches us. It's controlling, it's limiting what we think is possible, what we accept as normal. Okay, it's manufacturing our consent, and it's really controlling our thinking and our thought processes. And there's a lot of truth to that, and it's a thesis that comes from, it comes from artists on the political left, like these folks we're discussing, but also comes from there's empirical evidence of these things, that television shapes our perceptions, uh, you know much more so than I don't know, other modes of disseminating information or getting information out to people. Uh, so turn your TV off and read this wonderful book. Oh, what a great book. I'm so happy to be teaching it. I wish we were meeting in person, but we're not. And I hope you all are doing okay out there. Again, the final exam, I'll have it for you soon, but it is optional. You do not have to do it. You're going to pass this class as long as that midterm and that Candide essay are in good order with me. You're passing this class, okay? So people asked about their grades for the poetry recital from before. People did so badly, not in my second class, but in my first class, that I threw out the grade for both classes, okay? So no one's being penalized because there were too many failures. And I take responsibility when there's failure among a lot of students, okay? Unlike most professors. So, sorry about my bad haircut and my questionable attempt at growing a beard, but these videos are almost over and you won't have to see my face laughing at my own jokes anymore. So, have a good Monday, and I will be at you on Wednesday talking about Etheridge Knight, June Jordan, and Lucille Clifton. And then next week, the movie They Live on Wednesday, but a few more poets, Ishmael Reed, Nicky Giovanni, and Stephanie for next Monday. And then next Wednesday, a DVD commentary on the wonderful movie They Live. Okay, have a good day, and power to the people.